Welcome, dear dreamer, to another night with whispers of the night. Tonight, we have a gentle story to carry you softly into the world of dreams. In a quiet town, under skies often gray, lived a curious girl named Mira. One evening, she discovered something extraordinary hidden in her grandmother's attic, an umbrella. Unlike any other, its fabric shimmered faintly with colors that seemed alive, a rainbow waiting to awaken. Myra opened it gently, and soft mist spilled delicate as morning light, filling the room with quiet magic. Tonight, we will follow Myra's journey as she learns that this umbrella does more than shelter from rain. It carries the colors of courage, hope, laughter, calm, healing, and the endless light within hearts. So, take a slow, deep breath, feel the comfort of your bed, and let the world outside grow quieter. Let the rain, the light, and the rainbow guide you as you step softly into Mira's magical world. The rain begins, softly tapping on rooftops, drifting down the streets. Mira steps outside, the umbrella in hand, a delicate rainbow forming in every droplet. With each step, colors spill across the ground, gentle arcs of red, orange, yellow, soothing green, quiet blue, deep indigo, and soft violet weaving a path that floats above the town. Feel yourself step onto the path with Myra, floating lightly, carried by the mist of colors. The world softens, the wind whispers through the trees, the raindrops hum a lullaby on rooftops and leaves. See the town below, children chasing the light, adults pausing, smiling hearts reminded of courage, hope, laughter, calm dreams, and imagination. Steady and strong. Breathe out, release any tension, letting orange laughter flow softly. Breathe in, yellow hope, gentle and bright. Breathe out, exhale worries, letting green healing settle like dew. Breathe in blue, calm, soft and quiet. Breathe out violet imagination, stirring dreams gently. The rainbow arches above, stretching across, the sky shimmering in puddles beneath your feet, gliding over rooftops and gardens. Myra twirls the umbrella slowly, the colors spreading in soft spirals, caressing the world, and your mind inviting you to float, relax, drift. Each raindrop reflects a fragment of light, a gentle reminder that even after storms, beauty remains. Let your eyelids grow heavy, let your breathing slow, and feel the soft embrace of the rainbow carrying you toward quiet dreams, toward gentle sleep, toward peace. The umbrella that carried rainbows. The forgotten umbrella. The attic was quiet, except for the occasional groan of the house settling into its evening rhythm. Mira climbed the narrow, creaking stairs, each step stirring little clouds of dust that danced like tiny motes of light in the fading sun. Her fingers brushed against the rough wooden railing as she ascended, and a shiver of anticipation ran through her. The The attic had always been a place of secrets, a hidden world above the familiar. Hum of her grandmother's home, boxes stacked haphazardly, quilts folded with care, and forgotten treasures filled every corner. Mira's eyes adjusted slowly to the dim light, soft gold streaming through a small cobwebbed window. She inhaled the mingling scents of cedar, old paper, and mothballs, a combination so rich and nostalgic it seemed almost alive. She loved the attic, not for the things it held, but for the sense that time itself moved differently there. Everything felt slower, suspended, waiting. As she wandered among the stacks, something caught her attention, half buried beneath a pile of faded quilts and a box of old photographs. A slender shape shimmered faintly in the shadow. Mira knelt, carefully brushing aside the layers of fabric and dust. There, lying, almost as if it had been waiting for her all these years, was an umbrella. It was unlike any umbrella she had ever seen. The handle was carved from a smooth, dark wood that felt warm under her fingertips. Its ribs were delicate, almost fragile, yet sturdy enough to hold the fabric taut. The canopy itself seemed ordinary at first glance, folded neatly and slightly dusty, but as Myra lifted it into the light, the material began to glow. Soft, shimmering hues of rainbow stretched across its surface, faint but unmistakable. Even in the dimness of the attic, the umbrella seemed alive with a gentle, pulsing light, as though it breathed quietly in its slumber. Mira's heart quickened. She had always been drawn to objects that seemed to whisper their stories, and this one was no exception. She lifted the umbrella carefully and ran her fingers over the fabric. It was smooth, almost silky, yet there was a subtle texture beneath her touch, like the faint ridges of waves frozen in motion. It felt familiar, though she knew she had never seen it before. A curious warmth spread from her hands through her arms, a quiet invitation she couldn't ignore. Slowly, Mira opened the umbrella. The first click of its mechanism sounded unusually soft, like a sigh escaping from the folds of time. As it unfurled, a fine mist began to drift down, colored with all the soft, gentle shades of dawn: pale gold, blush pink, lavender, and minty green. The mist lingered in the air, curling around the stacks of boxes, catching in the edges of the old quilts, and pooling in the corners of the attic floor. Mira gasped softly. The light-colored mist painted the attic in a magical glow, as if the world itself had exhaled a secret, long held and finally revealed. She could see the dust motes floating within it, each one reflecting the rainbow light, tiny stars in miniature orbit. She reached out, letting her fingers brush through the mist. It felt cool and soft, like the caress of a morning breeze, and yet it left a faint warmth behind, like the lingering memory of sunlight on skin. For a long moment, she simply stood there, her eyes wide, drinking in the quiet beauty. The umbrella seemed to hum with an energy she couldn't name. It was subtle, not loud or demanding, but there was a rhythm to it, a heartbeat that resonated through the wooden floor beneath her feet. Myra felt certain, with a deep, inexplicable certainty, that the umbrella had chosen her. It was waiting for her, and not by chance. Her gaze drifted to the window. Outside, the sky was a pale wash of early evening, the horizon faintly brushed with the pink and gold of the setting sun. Yet the light in the attic was unlike any sunset she had ever seen. It was soft and enveloping, warm yet ethereal, as if the umbrella had brought a fragment of the dawn indoors. Myra carefully closed the umbrella again, half afraid to break the spell. The mist slowly faded, leaving a faint, sweet scent of rain and flowers behind, delicate and almost nostalgic. She held the umbrella close to her chest, feeling the pulsing light through the fabric. It was comforting, familiar, like a friend she had yet to meet. She sank onto an old trunk nearby, the umbrella resting across her lap. In the quiet, she let her mind wander. What had been its purpose? Who had owned it before? Her grandmother rarely spoke of her own past, and yet Myra imagined the stories the umbrella could tell. Perhaps it had traveled through time, carried by rainstorms and whispered secrets, waiting patiently for someone who could truly see it. The attic seemed to lean closer, wrapping her in its ancient, soft embrace. Shadows stretched and swayed as the fading sunlight shifted, but Myra felt no fear. The umbrella was a beacon, a promise of something just beyond her understanding, something extraordinary waiting to unfold. She imagined stepping outside with it, letting the rainbow mist spill over the garden, the streets, the world. Perhaps it could make the invisible visible, could bring warmth to the quiet corners of life. Hours seemed to pass in minutes, yet time felt irrelevant. Myra traced her fingers along the ribs of the umbrella, marveling at the intricacy. Tiny symbols were etched into the wood, delicate and curling, almost like vines or waves. She had never noticed them before, and yet they seemed to pulse faintly, in sync with the heartbeat of the umbrella itself. Her grandmother's voice drifted up the stairs, soft and distant. "Myra, dinner is ready, dear." Myra jumped slightly, the spell breaking, but only gently. She looked down at the umbrella, still glowing faintly in the dim light of the attic. Carefully, she closed it, the rainbow mist slowly retreating into the folds. She carried it with reverence as she descended the stairs, the wooden handle warm and familiar in her hands at the kitchen table. The evening light washed across her grandmother's worn features. Myra's mind was elsewhere, filled with colors and whispers, with the quiet pulse of an umbrella that was far more than it seemed. She wondered what adventures lay ahead, what stories would awaken when the umbrella opened again. That night, Myra lay in bed, the umbrella leaning against the wall beside her window, still glowing faintly, a promise in its silence. She could almost hear it breathing, waiting, patient. Outside, the wind whispered through the trees, rustling the leaves, carrying the faint scent of rain. Myra closed her eyes, letting herself drift between wonder and sleep, certain that the umbrella had already begun its quiet magic in her life. And in that gentle glow, the attic seemed closer than ever, the secrets of forgotten years waiting just beyond the reach of ordinary eyes. Myra smiled, turning over in her bed, her dreams tinged with the soft rainbow light, knowing that the ordinary world had become extraordinary, and that she had discovered the beginning of something unforgettable. The first rainbow path. The drizzle had begun softly, almost as if the sky itself were testing the world below. Myra held the umbrella in her hands, its handle warm and familiar, its rainbow fabric glimmering faintly in the dim light. Outside, the garden glistened, each droplet of rain catching what little sunlight remained and refracting it into tiny sparks that seemed to dance just above the grass. Myra stepped onto the dewy path, her bare feet brushing against the cool earth. The air smelled of wet leaves and fresh rain, a fragrance that filled her lungs and made her heart beat a little faster. She lifted the umbrella, and immediately the drizzle began to shift. Where each raindrop touched the umbrella's fabric, it scattered into ribbons of color, delicate threads of light that shimmered and bent across the space around her. For a moment, she thought she must be imagining it. The world had always been ordinary, ruled by gravity and gravity alone. But now, beneath the umbrella's glow, ordinary rules no longer seemed to matter. The raindrops did not fall as they should. They lifted, twisted, and joined together, forming an arching bridge of light, faint but iridescent, stretching from the garden path to somewhere beyond her vision. Mira gasped. She felt the gentle hum of magic or perhaps wonder itself underneath her feet. The rainbow bridge pulsed, softly, as though it had a heartbeat of its own. Her fingers gripped the umbrella handle a little tighter, and she hesitated. The bridge seemed fragile, impossibly delicate, yet it radiated a quiet strength that called to her curiosity. Then, with a trembling breath, she lifted one foot and stepped forward. The sensation was unlike anything she had ever known. Her foot did not touch solid ground, yet she did not fall. Instead, she floated, lightly and steadily, as if the very air had opened itself to cradle her steps. The mist of colored rain swirled around her ankles, cool and gentle, leaving trails of tiny, sparkling droplets that lingered in the air like fireflies. Myra's eyes widened as she lifted her gaze. The sky had deepened to a soft, misty gray, the clouds moving lazily overhead, yet each seemed infused with the rainbow light of the umbrella. Birds fluttered past her, their wings reflecting shards of color that seemed to echo the bridge beneath her feet. They did not flee from her, as birds often did from humans. They circled, hovered, and followed, curious about the rainbow path she tread. Even the wind seemed to notice her presence. Gentle gusts carried the scent of rain-soaked earth, flowers, and distant forests. They whispered past her ears, tugging lightly at her hair, tugging gently at the umbrella, but always in harmony, never threatening. Myra's heart leaped at the feeling, a symphony of nature itself moving in response to her steps. With each careful movement forward, she began to understand something profound. The umbrella was not merely a tool, it was a key that unlocked a layer of the world invisible to ordinary eyes. And the rainbow bridget was a pathway, a delicate bridge between the familiar and the extraordinary. Mira closed her eyes for a brief moment, letting herself sway slightly, feeling the pulsing light beneath her feet. A rush of exhilaration mingled with awe swept through her. She had always been curious, always felt the pull of things hidden in plain sight, but nothing had ever prepared her for this. She could almost hear the gentle thrum of the rainbow, a sound like the soft strumming of strings in a faraway forest, or perhaps the whisper of a lullaby carried by the wind. As she opened her eyes, she noticed something new. The clouds above her shifted, forming shapes and patterns that seemed almost deliberate. One cloud resembled the wing of a giant bird, another a softly curled shell, and yet another drifted like a feather, suspended mid-air. They moved in tandem with her steps, as though the sky itself were alive and guiding her forward. Myra's pace quickened, tentative at first, then bolder as her confidence grew. She twirled slightly on the bridge, laughing softly at the thrill of floating through the air. The rain still falling in gentle sheets around her, scattered into a million tiny rainbows beneath the umbrella, each droplet reflecting light like a gem. Her fingers brushed through the mist, leaving faint trails of shimmer that lingered before dissolving into the air. Beneath her, the bridge was solid, yet soft, almost as if she were walking on light itself. She marveled at how effortless it felt. Gravity, weight, and fear seemed distant and irrelevant, replaced by a gentle trust in the path and in the umbrella that had brought her here. She leaned slightly forward, peering over the edge of the rainbow. Below, the garden looked familiar, yet transformed, lit in delicate hues that made every leaf, every flower, every blade of grass glow like precious stones. Birds followed her with a curious grace, dipping and rising alongside the bridge. One small bird with iridescent feathers that mirrored the colors of the rainbow landed lightly on her shoulder. Mira froze for a moment, unsure whether to breathe or move. The bird chirped softly, tilting its tiny head, then took off again, fluttering ahead as if urging her onward. The wind carried her forward, gentle and playful, wrapping around her in invisible hands. She felt lighter with each step, lighter in body and lighter in spirit. The rainbow bridge seemed endless, a delicate thread connecting earth and sky, ordinary and magical, known and unknown. Every step forward was an act of trust, every breath a discovery. Mira noticed the subtle symphony of sound that surrounded her. The rain made delicate music as it scattered against the umbrella's shimmering canopy. The hum of light beneath her feet blended with the soft rustle of the wind. And the birds added their song, a chorus of curiosity and welcome. She closed her eyes again and let herself move with the rhythm, her heart sinking with the quiet melody of the bridge. Time lost meaning. Minutes stretched into moments, and moments folded into eternity. Mira realized she was not alone, though there was no one beside her. The sky, the clouds, the rain, the wind, even the birds, they were all companions on this path, aware of her presence, responding to her awe with subtle gestures of encouragement. A sudden gust lifted the umbrella slightly, and Mira instinctively held it closer. The rainbow mist swirled more brightly, as if celebrating her courage. The bridge pulsed with a warm glow, guiding her, assuring her that she could go further, reach higher, explore more. She felt a tingle in her fingertips, a gentle energy that seemed to seep from the umbrella into her very being. And then she saw it, a faint shimmer at the far end of the bridge, a point of light just beyond the clouds, where the rainbow seemed to curve and bend into something new. Mira's curiosity surged. She could not see what lay beyond, could not know what waited at the end, yet a deep certainty told her she must continue. Step by step, she advanced. Each footfall was confident. Now, guided by a strange intuition and the subtle heartbeat of the bridge beneath her, the air tasted faintly of rain and wildflowers, and every droplet that touched her skin left behind a trace of color. A memory of the rainbow. As she walked, Mira noticed something extraordinary. The clouds themselves began to shift more noticeably, forming shapes that told stories. She saw mountains, rivers, forests, and strange creatures, all suspended in a delicate, dreamlike panorama above and below her. It was a living painting, an endless story that moved in harmony with her steps. The umbrella hummed softly in response, almost as if it were reading her thoughts, understanding her awe, and offering encouragement. Myra felt a connection, not just to the bridge, but to the world itself, to the quiet magic hidden beneath the ordinary veil of life. She understood, in that serene, suspended moment, that the universe was not as rigid as it seemed. There were paths hidden, waiting for those brave enough to take the first step, those willing to trust in wonder. The first rainbow path stretched endlessly, yet Mira felt no fear. She felt only joy, curiosity, and the quiet thrill of discovery. The air was alive with possibility, each step forward a gentle affirmation of the extraordinary. Birds, clouds, and even the wind seemed to follow her, sharing in the wonder, guiding her along a journey that was both outward and inward, a journey of courage, curiosity, and quiet magic. Eventually, the shimmer at the bridge's end grew stronger, more defined. A faint golden light appeared, soft but radiant, calling her forward. Mira's heart quickened, not with fear, but with anticipation. She had crossed from the ordinary into the extraordinary, and though she did not know what awaited, she felt certain that every step, every breath, every moment had led her here. She lifted the umbrella higher, letting the rainbow mist spill around her like a cloak of light. She took a deep breath, inhaling the scent of rain, flowers, and possibility, and stepped forward with confidence, ready to discover what lay at the end of the first rainbow path. And as she walked, the world seemed to hold its breath, the clouds partying gently, the birds circling in wonder, and the wind whispering softly, "Welcome, Mira. You have found the path." The town without rainbows. The rainbow bridge carried Mira further, gliding above soft clouds and mist-laden valleys, until it dipped gently toward a small town nestled between rolling hills. From above, the streets seemed muted, wrapped in shades of gray and silver, as though a perpetual mist had settled and never lifted. Mira noticed that the rooftops, usually bright with tiles or shingles, were dulled by time and weather. The cobblestone streets, worn smooth by countless footsteps, shimmered faintly in the drizzle but lacked color. Even the trees lining the square appeared tired, their leaves pale and muted, as if the sun had forgotten to touch them. Myra stepped off the bridge onto the edge of the town square. The moment her feet touched the cobblestones, she felt the difference. The air here was heavier, quieter, and tinged with longing. The town was alive, but it seemed asleep beneath the endless gray sky, each breath slow and hesitant, as if the people had forgotten the joy of color. Children appeared first, peeking out from behind doorways and shutters. Their clothes were simple and faded, their faces pale beneath the gray light. When they saw Mira, they blinked in surprise. Some hesitated, unsure whether she was real or part of a dream. Others smiled faintly, curiosity lighting their eyes for the first time in years. Mira noticed their eyes lingering on the umbrella, even closed. Its rainbow shimmer seemed to radiate through the muted air, casting faint arcs of light that touched the children's hair and cheeks. She knelt slightly, smiling gently. "Hello," she said, her voice soft but warm, like sunlight on stone. "I think you've been waiting a long time for this." The children shuffled closer, their curiosity overtaking caution. One little boy, no older than 6, reached out a tentative hand toward the umbrella. Myra twirled it slowly and instantly. A delicate arc of color sprang to life above them. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violetal hues danced across the gray sky. The rainbow glimmered as if it had been hidden for decades, bending and stretching in elegant curves from one end of the square to the other. Gasps echoed through the town. The children ran to the edges of the rainbow, reaching out to touch the glowing light. Their hands passed through it, leaving faint streaks of color on their sleeves and fingers. Laughter broke the silence, tentative at first, then growing bolder, brighter, filling the air like a symphony of joy. Myra spun the umbrella again, and the rainbow rippled in response, sending arches of brilliant color over the rooftops, around the square, and into the narrow streets beyond. The town seemed to awaken. Windows, dull and gray, reflected the vibrant arcs above. Doors opened, and more children poured into the square, their eyes wide with astonishment. Adults peeked from windows, blinking against the sudden brilliance. For the first time in years, their faces softened, their lips curling into smiles that had long been forgotten. One girl, perhaps 8 or 9, ran toward Myra, her dress catching the faint rainbow glow, and she twirled around with abandon. It's real," she whispered, her voice trembling with wonder. "I've never seen colors like this." Mira knelt to meet her gaze. "You've always carried them inside," she said softly. "They've just been waiting for someone to share them with." She twirled the umbrella again, and this time the rainbow expanded, stretching farther, arcing over the rooftops and curling gently toward the hills surrounding the town. Tiny droplets of rainbow mist fell from the canopy, leaving sparkling traces. On the cobblestones, the children began chasing the rainbow light, leaping over puddles of refracted color. Each step left trails of luminous mist on the ground, bright streaks that twinkled long after their feet had passed. Some jumped and tried to catch the arcs in their hands, giggling as the colors slipped through their fingers, leaving them with only a faint shimmer that clung to their skin and hair. Others ran together, weaving between the cobblestones, their laughter echoing and mingling with the soft patter of the rain. Myra watched in delight. The rainbow did more than color the sky. It awakened something within the hearts of those who had forgotten how to hope. The laughter, the bright eyes, the sense of wonder, it all flowed like a gentle river, carrying the town with it. A group of children ran to the edge of the fountain at the square's center. Even the water, previously dull and sluggish, caught the rainbow light and shimmered with prismatic colors. They splashed, sending droplets flying that danced like tiny prisms in the air. Myra twirled the umbrella above them, and the arcs of light spiraled in gentle loops, forming patterns that seemed alive. Dancing alongside the children's movements, she noticed the adults now, stepping hesitantly out of their doors. Some stayed, back at first, watching with a mixture of awe and disbelief. Slowly, curiosity overcame caution. One by one, they approached, and as the rainbow mist brushed their hands, their expressions softened. A shopkeeper, gray-haired and stooped, reached up to touch a trailing ribbon of color, and his eyes widened. I haven't felt this in years," he whispered, voice trembling with emotion. Mira smiled, feeling a warmth spread through her chest. She had not imagined the umbrella's gift would be so powerful, yet here it was. Joy, wonder, and color returned to a place that had long been hidden beneath gray clouds. She twirled the umbrella again, and the rainbow expanded even further, stretching above the entire town. Birds, drawn by the light, swooped down from the hills and perched on rooftops. They sang in delicate trills, adding music to the rainbow spectacle. The town seemed to breathe as one lifted from the monotony of endless gray. Children's laughter mingled with the soft patter of rain and the gentle hum of the rainbow, creating a melody that was both timeless and fleeting. Mira noticed the smallest of details, to the way the cobblestones glimmered, each puddle reflecting miniature rainbows, the way leaves on the trees shimmered in newly discovered color, the way even the gray walls of buildings softened in the glow of the prismatic light. It was a gentle, transformative magic, subtle yet profound, as if the town itself had been waiting for a long-forgotten sigh of hope. One little boy, sitting on the edge of the fountain, looked up at Myra with wide, shining eyes. "Will it stay?" he asked softly. "Will the colors stay forever?" Myra knelt beside him, her voice calm and gentle. "They will always return," she said. "Whenever someone remembers to look for them, to reach for joy and wonder, the colors will find their way back." She twirled the umbrella again, sending ribbons of light swirling around the square, and the boy's face lit up in amazement. The children began to weave through the rainbow light like dancers, forming patterns and shapes, chasing the arcs that twisted and turned above the square. They discovered laughter in ways they had forgotten, their hearts buoyed by the beauty they had never thought possible. Myra stepped carefully among them, letting the umbrella's rainbow trail sweep over their heads, feeling the energy of their joy reverberate like a soft, rhythmic pulse. Time became irrelevant. Minutes, hours, and perhaps even days seemed suspended in the glow of the rainbow. Mira twirled the umbrella slowly, then faster, experimenting with the arcs of light. Each movement sent waves of color across the town, painting the gray walls, the cobblestones, and the leaves of the trees. With every spin, the townspeople's smiles grew wider, their laughter louder, more confident, as if the rainbow itself were knitting happiness back into their lives. She noticed something remarkable. The rainbow did not fade, even as the drizzle continued. The umbrella seemed to feed off the joy it created. The more laughter and wonder it inspired, the brighter it glowed. Mira felt a connection, not just to the town, but to the happiness it had long forgotten. It was a reminder that even the smallest sparkhan arc of color, a gentle act of magic, could awaken hope in hearts long hidden beneath shadows. As evening approached, the rainbow bridge began to shimmer gently, its light softening to a warm glow that embraced the town. Mira closed her eyes, feeling the gentle pulse beneath the umbrella and the laughter of children echoing in her heart. She understood that her journey had just begun, that the town had been a first step, a place where she could see the quiet power of color and wonder. and where joy could bloom even after years of gray. When she finally folded the umbrella, the rainbow remained faintly in the sky, like a memory of what had been awakened. The children and townspeople watched in awe, their eyes reflecting tiny fragments of color that would linger long after the rain passed. Mira smiled and whispered, softly, almost to herself, "The world always remembers it, only waits for someone to remind it." And with that, she lifted the umbrella again, feeling its gentle warmth in her hands, and continued along the path of color, leaving behind a town forever changed, a town where gray skies no longer held dominion, and where children had learned for the first time how to chase joy. The colors of the heart. The morning air was crisp and gentle, carrying the scent of wet grass and distant flowers. Mira walked through the quiet streets of the town she had visited the day before, the rainbow umbrella resting lightly in her hand. Even folded, it shimmered faintly, a promise of magic waiting to be awakened. Today, she felt a different kind of Pula sense, that the umbrella wanted her to look deeper, not just at the world around her, but at the world within each person she encountered. She wandered to the town square, where children had begun to play again beneath the soft drizzle. Myra noticed something new. When she tilted the umbrella slightly, faint sparks of light seemed to rise from the children themselves. At first, almost imperceptible, but it became clear that each color corresponded to something unique inside each child. Their joys unfurl above her. The colors of the mist beneath it responded instantly, pulsing and swirling as though alive. She watched, fascinated, as the red light flickered and brightened above a boy who had been quietly watching others play. He had been hesitant, shy, unsure of himself. The red sparks rose from his chest, fiery and warm, spreading outward in a gentle shimmer. She smiled softly, seeing the boy lift his chin, a newfound confidence in his eyes as he joined the other children, laughing freely for the first time in months. Next, her gaze fell on a small group of girls, spinning in circles, holding hands. Their laughter was light, but fragile as the morning mist, and Mira noticed orange threads weaving through the air above them, the children and the cobblestones alike. Orange, she realized, was laughter, the kind that brightens the spirit, that bubbles up even after tears, that spreads warmth to everyone who hears it. Confident, and soon they were chasing each other around the square, their joy contagious. Myra's gaze shifted to a weary old woman sitting on the fountain's edge. Her eyes, once bright, were clouded with fatigue and quiet sorrow. Mira tilted the umbrella toward her, and a soft yellow shimmer began to bloom in the mist, delicate and warm. Hope, Myra realized, was yellow, soft but persistent, like sunlight breaking through gray clouds. She had long forgotten. Further along the square, a man tended to a small garden of herbs near a shop front. The plants were healthy, but had struggled under the gray skies of the past years. Myra noticed green threads of light rising from his hands as he touched the soil, the leaves and flowers with vibrant energy. Green was healing and peace. She understood the kind that mends hearts, restores balance, and allows life to flourish once more. The man looked up at the umbrella, a sense of serenity washing over him, and he gently touched the leaves, feeling a quiet connection to the magic that had returned to his world. Even the smallest moments held magic. A child trembled slightly as she approached the fountain, fear evident in her eyes. Myra raised the umbrella high, and a soft blue glow rose from the girl, enveloping her in gentle calm. Blue, she realized, was quieting fear, a soothing balm for anxious hearts, a reminder that the world is safe enough to explore when one is ready. The girl's hands relaxed, her steps grew steadier, and soon she was laughing alongside the others, her timid energy now mingling with courage. Group of children who sat beneath a tree, staring at the clouds. Their thoughts drifted to dreams, visions of adventures, of stories they hoped to tell, of places they longed to see. Quiet pulse that pushes hearts toward imagination and creation. The gentle nudge that inspires wonder even when the world seems dull. Their eyes sparkled, and they began to weave imaginary stories, speaking softly to one another, painting unseen worlds in their minds, and sharing them through laughter and whispers. Finally, Mira noticed Violet, the softest, most elusive of the colors, hovering above the tallest child in the square, a girl with paint-stained hands and a thoughtful expression. Violet was imagination, the spark that awakens creativity, transforms ordinary moments into extraordinary experiences, and makes the world itself feel alive. Mira twirled the umbrella, and the violet threads wove into the rainbow mist, touching the trees, the stones, and the children alike. Everywhere it fell, tiny sparks of inspiration kindled, and the town seemed to shimmer with a subtle magic. In her chest, as she observed the interaction of colors, the umbrella did more than scatter rainbows across the sky. It revealed the inner light of every person it touched. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. Each hue was not just beautiful. Each person watching the colors bloom and intertwine in the air. The children's laughter mingled with the soft hum of the umbrella. Even the gray walls of the buildings seemed to soften under the cascade of colored light, reflecting the magic back in gentle hues. Mira paused near the fountain. His hands, red and yellow, swirled together, forming shapes that seemed to pulse with life. He laughed softly, turning to show the girl beside him, who added strokes of indigo and violet. Mira realized that the magic was not only about revealing the light inside, together, and to remember that the world could be brighter when hearts connect. The rain had stopped. Mira twirled the umbrella slowly, letting the colors drift and settle gently over the square. She felt a quiet satisfaction in the way the magic moved, understanding that each hue was a seed planted, a gentle reminder that the light within people could be nurtured, shared, and multiplied. A little boy ran up to her, holding a puddle of refracted rainbow light in his hands. "It's inside us," he exclaimed, eyes shining. "It's not just the umbrella. We have it too." Mira smiled, kneeling to meet his gaze. "Yes," she said softly, "and the umbrella helps us see it. It reminds us that even when the sky is gray, the light inside us is always there, waiting to shine." She twirled the umbrella one last time, and the rainbow canopy expanded above the town. Worry, fatigue, and doubt seemed to vanish. The world felt light, soft, and alive with possibility. Mira took a deep breath, feeling the warmth and joy that radiated from the umbrella and the hearts it had touched. She understood now that her journey was not only about discovering magic, but about helping others remember their own. The colors were not only in the sky, they were in every laugh, every brave step, every shared dream, every act of kindness, and every quiet thought of hope. As evening fell, the town glimmered softly in the lingering rainbow mist. Tiny arcs of color, puddles, mirrored the hues above, and the townspeople moved gently through the streets, carrying fragments of red. Mira folded the umbrella, its glow soft but steady, and stepped back to watch. The town would remember. This was the true magic of the umbrella. It didn't just create rainbows. It revealed the brilliance already present in every heart, showing that even the smallest spark could illuminate the world around it. And as she lifted the umbrella and continued along the path, leaving the town behind, she felt the quiet satisfaction of knowing that the colors of the heart, courage, laughter, hope, healing.com, dreams, and imagination would always find their way, shining brightly in the lives of those who chose to see them. The storm of shadows. The morning had begun quietly, with soft sunlight filtering through the trees, birds singing in gentle harmony. By midday, however, the sky had grown heavy, a deep gray spreading across the horizon like a slow tide. Mira sensed it before anyone else. The wind had shifted, carrying a weight that pressed against the air, thickening it with an almost tangible tension. She stepped into the town square, the umbrella tucked under her arm, and immediately noticed the change. People paused in their activities, glancing upward with anxious eyes. Children clutched their mother's hands, and the birds, usually playful in their flights, circled nervously above the rooftops. The once bright rainbow mist that lingered in the streets seemed to pale under the gathering clouds, as though preparing for the approaching shadow. Then it came. The first roll of thunder was distant, low and rumbling, but it shook the air, resonating in Myra's chest. Rain followed quickly, sharp and relentless, hammering against the cobblestones and rooftops, pooling in gutters and over the fountain's edges. The wind picked up, carrying leaves, dust, and the faint scent of petrol. The town seemed to shrink beneath the storm's weight, every color fading into dull shades of gray and shadow. Mira opened the umbrella, letting it catch the first drops of rain. Immediately, the colors shimmered faintly, trying to push back the darkness. Yet the storm was strong, and for the first time, the umbrella's rainbow seemed to falter. The reds dimmed, the oranges lost their warmth, the yellows softened, and the indigos and violets flickered like candlelight in a gusting wind. Fear crept into Mira's heart. She had never seen the umbrella struggle, never felt the colors hesitate. Beneath her touch, the storm was unlike anything she had encountered before, far greater, darker, and more consuming. She felt the weight of it pressing down, threatening to snuff out not just the light above her, but the hope and courage of everyone below. A flash of lightning split the sky, illuminating the town in stark, ghostly white. The townspeople froze in place, huddled beneath doorways, windows, and awnings, their faces pale and frightened. The wind howled, rattling shutters and whipping banners like frantic flags. Even the children, who had once laughed and chased rainbow light, clung to their guardians, wide-eyed and silent. Mira's hands trembled on the umbrella handle. She could feel the storm's power vibrating through the metal ribs and wooden shaft, felt the faint dimming of the rainbow mist above her. For a moment, doubt whispered in her mind, a quiet, poisonous thought. Perhaps the umbrella is not strong enough. Perhaps this storm is too great. Then she remembered the gifts. Each color represented gifts she had seen flourish in the hearts of the townspeople. Courage, laughter, hope, healing, calm, dreams, imagination. Each spark had been real, alive, and waiting within the hearts of those she had touched. The rainbow was not her power alone. It was a reflection of the light inside them all. Taking a deep breath, Mira planted her feet firmly on the slick cobblestones. She gripped the umbrella tighter and lifted it high above her head. The storm's wind tugged at it fiercely, trying to tilt it aside, but she held steady. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet, the colors began to pulse faintly, one by one. Steadying as they rose into the stormy sky, she whispered to herself, softly, a mantra of courage and hope. Red is courage, orange is laughter, yellow is hope, green is healing, blue is calm, indigo is dreams, violet is imagination. Together, they are stronger than the storm. The umbrella responded, its light flickering once, twice, then pulsing steadily, stronger than before. Mira felt warmth spread from her hands, through her arms, into her chest. A wave of confidence rose within her, grounding her against the storm's roar. The rainbow mist, once fragile, began to stretch outward, forming arcs of color that cut through the dark clouds, defiant and brilliant against the shadow. The townspeople noticed first as faint streaks of color pierced the gray veil above. Then the orange and yellow hues spread, casting warmth into the streets. Courage bloomed in their hearts as red sparks ignited. Small but steady, mothers and fathers lifted their children, pointing to the growing rainbow above, their eyes reflecting the first flickers of hope. Myra's heart soared as she watched. The storm was vast, but the rainbow was stronger. She began to twirl the umbrella, releasing wider arcs of color that stretched over the entire town. The green of healing brushed against the fountain, the leaves, and the streets, knitting the town together in a soft, protective light. Blue settled over the frightened children, soothing their fears and steadying their trembling hearts. Indigo and violet spiraled gently through the mist, encouraging dreams, curiosity, and imagination, reminding everyone that even in darkness, wonder could still be found. A deafening clap of thunder rolled through the sky, shaking the rooftops. But Mira stood firm. Her arms ached. The wind pressed against her like a living weight, and rain plastered her hair and clothes to her skin. Yet she held fast, letting the rainbow expand until it arched magnificently over the entire town, cutting through the storm like a sword of light. The storm roared, but it was no longer alone. Every heart the umbrella had touched contributed to. The glow, courage, strengthened the red. Laughter intensified the orange. Hope shone through yellow, and so on. The townspeople were no longer afraid. They were part of the magic. Mothers clutched hands with fathers. Children danced beneath the arcs of light, and even the animals seemed calmer, gathering in the safe, colorful glow. Myra felt tears mingle. with the rain on her cheeks, not of fear, but of joy. She realized that the umbrella's true power was not in shielding the town from the storm, but in showing the storm that the light within hearts could never be extinguished. She lifted it higher still, letting the rainbow sweep beyond the rooftops, beyond the hills, and into the clouds themselves. Lightning flashed again, brighter than before, but it illuminated the rainbow rather than the gloom. Thunder followed, but it no longer struck fear. It was a drumbeat, a pulse in the symphony of color and courage that now filled the town. Every flash of light revealed faces glowing with hope, hands reaching out, hearts lifted in unison beneath the umbrella's magic mirror spun the umbrella gently, and the arcs of rainbow became immense, stretching wide and long, reflecting in every puddle, glimmering on wet leaves, sparkling along the cobblestones. Children leaped, laughing, spinning in the mist. Adults joined in, raising their arms, smiling for the first time in what felt like years. The town was united under the glow, a single heartbeat of color pulsing against the storm's shadow. Even the storm seemed to hesitate, as though uncertain against the brilliant, defiant arcs of light. The dark clouds swirled but could not overpower the rainbow. The wind still tried to bend the umbrella, but Mira's hands held firm. The storm's roar became softer, more distant, eventually fading to a low murmur as the rainbow's magic filled the sky completely. Finally, Mira lowered the umbrella, letting the colors settle gently over the town. The rain slowed, turning to a light drizzle, and the clouds began to break apart, revealing soft patches of blue sky peeking through. The rainbow remained, brilliant and unwavering, stretching from the hills on one side of the town to the river beyond the square. The townspeople gathered beneath it, quiet now, marveling at the resilience and beauty that had returned to their world. Children held hands, spinning slowly, their eyes wide with wonder. Adults stood together, faces uplifted, hearts filled with warmth. Even the oldest and most weary among them felt a quiet glow within, a reminder that courage, hope, laughter, calm, healing, dreams, and imagination could survive even the darkest storm. Myra smiled, closing the umbrella softly. She had learned something important today. Storms may come, fierce and consuming, but the light within hearts, when shared, can cut through even the deepest shadow. It was not the umbrella alone that saved the town, but the courage and hope it revealed in every person it touched. She stepped back, allowing the townspeople to celebrate their victory over the storm, and felt a quiet satisfaction swell in her chest. The rainbow lingered, brilliant and alive, a symbol of resilience, unity, and the enduring power of inner light. Myra knew that more storms would come in the future, as they always do, but she also knew that the hearts she had touched would be ready, their colors shining brightly, no matter the darkness. The storm of shadows had passed, leaving the town forever changed, and Mira, with her rainbow umbrella glimmering faintly in her hand, continued along the path of light, ready for the next adventure, knowing that magic was not just in the skies, but in every heart willing to remember its own colors. The Keeper of Rainbows. The storm had passed, leaving the town washed clean, glistening with fresh rain. and glimmers of rainbow light that lingered in puddles and on leaves. Mira walked slowly through the square, the umbrella resting lightly in her hand, even closed. It hummed softly, a gentle vibration that seemed to echo in her chest. She could feel the warmth returning to its handle, the faint glow flickering and then settling into a calm, steady light dot. It was quiet now, a silence filled with promise. The children still danced in small clusters, chasing the faint remnants of rainbow mist, their laughter gentle and unhurried. Adults moved through the streets, their eyes reflecting the soft arcs of color, a new awareness lingering in their expressions. Even the buildings, damp and gleaming in the soft light, seemed to exhale, as if the world itself had been holding its breath and was finally free to breathe again. Myra knelt near a small puddle, watching the rainbow reflect perfectly in its still waters. The colors seemed almost alive, pulsing gently as if aware of her presence. She ran a finger through the surface, and the arcs rippled softly, spilling tiny sparks across the cobblestones. A realization blossomed within her, quiet but profound. The umbrella was no longer just an object of magic had chosen her. She felt a warmth in her chest, a steady pulse that mirrored the soft hum from the umbrella. Mira had become its keeper. She understood now that the rainbow was not hers to control in the ordinary sense. It was a living, breathing thing, a reflection of light that could appear wherever hearts were ready to receive it. The umbrella had given her the gift of guiding its magic, helping it find the hidden sparks in every person's heart. Standing, Mira twirled the umbrella once, letting the soft colors spill into the air. The rainbow arcs stretched faintly, brushing against rooftops, trees, and the glistening cobblestones. Even the wind seemed to pause, carrying a faint, warm breeze that whispered through the streets. Mira's eyes softened as she watched the children reach for the light, their tiny hands brushing through the mist and leaving faint trails of color behind. A small boy approached her, eyes wide with awe. Are you the girl who makes rainbows?" he asked, voice trembling slightly with excitement. Myra smiled, kneeling to meet his gaze. "I'm just the girl who carries rainbows," she said gently. "But the magic lives inside each of you too." The boy's eyes sparkled, and he ran off to join the others, calling back, "The girl who carries rainbows." The words echoed through the square, carried by laughter and the soft patter of rain, and Mira felt a quiet joy bloom in her chest. She wandered through the streets, observing the subtle changes in the townspeople. Mothers carried infants beneath umbrellas, their faces relaxed and bright. Shopkeepers leaned from doorways, smiling and sharing quiet greetings with neighbors they had long forgotten. The children ran and played in the shimmering puddles, their laughter ringing like tiny bells through the air. The rainbow mist lingered in arcs over rooftops and along fences, a gentle reminder that the world could shine even after the darkest storm. Myra lifted the umbrella higher, letting its colors drift outward. She had learned something vital on her journey. The rainbow did not appear because she willed it, but because hearts were ready to remember their own light, courage, laughter, hope, healing.com, dreams, imagination, all of these lived in the people she passed, and the umbrella simply revealed what was already there. The streets gradually emptied as families returned to their homes, carrying fragments of the rainbow in their hearts. Mira watched them go, a serene smile on her face. She felt a soft pulse from the umbrella, a gentle reassurance that the magic she carried was endless, not confined to this one town, this one square, this one storm. Beyond the town, the hills and valleys stretched out in gentle undulations, dotted with villages and farms, each one waiting for the touch of color, the quiet spark of joy that the umbrella could bring. Mira knew her journey was far from over. Wherever skies grew heavy, wherever hearts needed reminding of their own light, she would carry the rainbow there. She began to walk, the rain now a gentle drizzle, soft enough to sparkle in the faint rainbow glow that followed her steps. Puddles reflected the arcs of color, leaves shimmered, and every stone beneath her feet seemed alive with quiet energy. The umbrella hummed gently, the colors shifting softly with each movement, as if acknowledging that Mira understood her new role. As she walked, the world seemed to respond. Birds dipped and soared in the soft light, their wings catching faint flashes of color. Trees bent slightly in the breeze, their leaves catching droplets that reflected the rainbow. Even the wind itself seemed to hum in harmony with the umbrella, whispering softly through branches and across rooftops. Myra paused at the edge of a small village nestled between hills. She could see children peering out from windows and doorways, curiosity written across their faces. The sky above was heavy and gray, the clouds low and threatening. She knew that the villagers had long forgotten what it felt like to see color in the rain, and her heart swelled with a quiet determination. Lifting the umbrella, Myra let the colors spill into the sky. Red sparks ignited courage in timid hearts. Orange lifted laughter from quiet lips. Yellow shone hope into weary eyes. Green healed and comforted, while blue spread calm through anxious minds. Indigo and violet danced together, stirring dreams and awakening imagination. Slowly, deliberately, she guided the rainbow through the village streets. The effect was immediate. Children rushed out, faces alight with wonder, chasing arcs of color and leaving trails of shimmering mist behind. Adults watched, incredulous at first, and then, slowly, smiles spread across their faces. A baker paused mid-step, brushing flour from his hands, and marveled as the rainbow reflected in his shop window. A farmer lifted his gaze from the soil, and the soft glow of green and yellow warmed his eyes, filling him with a sense of peace he had not felt in years. Mira walked through the village slowly, each step deliberate, letting the rainbow weave through every alley, every garden, every street corner. The soft drizzle caught the colors, scattering tiny prisms across rooftops and fences. She saw laughter bloom where fear had lingered, hope shine where despair had once settled, and imagination awaken where dullness had reigned for too long. The village children began to call her by the same name the boy in the town had shouted, "The girl who carries rainbows." Myra smiled, letting the title rest gently in her heart. She did not seek recognition or praise. Her reward was the quiet illumination of the world, the gentle reminder that even after storms, color, light, and hope could always return. Even as the sun began to set, soft and gold behind the dissipating clouds, the umbrella continued to glow. The rainbow lingered, arcs stretching across the sky, reflected in puddles, shining on rooftops, and scattering faintly in the air like drifting mist. Myra walked slowly, leaving behind a trail of color that reminded every heart she passed of the light within them. She knew that storms would come again, that skies would darken and winds would howl. But she also knew that with courage, hope, laughter, calm, and imagination, the world could endure. The rainbow was not merely a gift of the sky, it was a mirror of the heart, a gentle, enduring reminder that even after the fiercest storm, beauty could bloom once more. Myra paused on a gentle hill, looking back toward the village below. The soft drizzle created tiny rainbows in puddles and on leaves, a final gift for the hearts she had touched. She lifted the umbrella one last time, letting its glow sweep across the horizon, a soft promise lingering in every droplet, every smile, every heart. And then she continued. Step by step, she walked through fields and forests, valleys and hills, leaving arcs of rainbow behind her. Wherever she went, the world remembered that even the darkest skies were temporary, and that light, courage, and color lived within every heart waiting to shine. The children who chased her light would grow to carry their own rainbows. Adults would carry hope, and the magic she had awakened would ripple far beyond her own steps. Myra's journey had only begun, but already the world was brighter because she walked through it, umbrella in hand, leaving trails of color and joy wherever she went. The rain fell softly now, a gentle drizzle that caught the glow of the umbrella and scattered it in tiny sparks across the grass and cobblestones. Myra walked onward, her steps calm, her heart steady, the hum of the umbrella a soft melody that echoed in the quiet evening. She was no longer just a girl with a rainbow umbrella. She was the keeper of rainbows, a guardian of color, hope, and light in a world that sometimes forgot how to shine. And as she disappeared into the misty horizon, the village children called after her, their voices lifted on the breeze. The girl who carries rainbows, the world remembered. The storm had passed, and Myra, with her umbrella glowing softly, left behind a trail of colors that whispered a quiet truth to everyone who saw it. Every storm can end in beauty. And so, Myra, the girl who carries rainbows, continues her journey bringing color, courage, and hope wherever clouds grow heavy. Remember, even when storms arrive, the light inside every here can shine again. Close your eyes, let the rainbow carry you softly into sleep.